Thank you for joining us again in our continuing series of honoring veterans. I'm here with Bud Guenther, a veteran Marine, today to share his experiences in advance of our Northeast Lake County Veterans Celebration Breakfast, November 7th, 7:30 to 9 a.m. at Lake Receptions. Go to mountdora.com if you're a veteran to get your complimentary ticket along with a complimentary guest ticket, or to purchase your ticket to join us for this great event. Umatilla Chamber, Eustis Chamber, Tavares Chamber, East Lake Chamber, and of course Mount Dora, we're all joining together for this great celebration. Now, Bud, tell us where you grew up before you went into the Marines.
Well, I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, a suburb of Shaker Heights.
Right.
And graduated from high school there.
Okay, all right.
And went to college at Ohio University in southeastern Ohio, not Ohio State.
Yes, sir. Okay, so were you drafted, or did you sign up, or what's the story there? And what year did you go in?
At the just toward the end of my college years, I got a little letter from the draft board and said that when I finish school that I'll be drafted.
Okay.
So they said you have the opportunity to choose your service. So I checked into the different services and I find out if I could complete the physical and the written and other tests ahead of time, that they would take me in the Marine Corps as a pilot.
Okay.
To go to training to be a pilot.
Wonderful. Now, did you go to Parris Island?
No, I went to officer training school in Quantico, Virginia.
Okay, all right. Okay, and what month and year was that you went in?
That would have been 57, and was toward the end of 57, possibly around June or so.
Okay, all right, good. The training was how long before you actually went over to Vietnam?
Well, the training for the school at Quantico was 12 weeks. Okay. And then I went to flight training, and that was close to 2 years.
Okay, all right, okay. And then what did you do between that time and the time that you actually went over to Vietnam that you were sharing with us before we went on camera?
I ended up, by that time went to Vietnam, I was a career Marine.
Okay.
I was going to stay in for the 20 years, so I had a number of different jobs there, but my number one job was flying.
Okay. And what rank did you attain before you retired?
I was a major.
You were a major. Wow. Great. All right, so you go to Vietnam. What year was that, and what rank were you when you went to Vietnam?
I was a major.
Okay, you were a major. Yeah. All right.
So I went to Vietnam in 67. First time. I actually ended up there 3 times. But the second 2 were much shorter than the first one.
Okay, all right. And tell us about some of the places that you were stationed in country there.
I was stationed most of the time in Chu Lai, which is northern part of South Vietnam. And our area that we covered was pretty much from Chu Lai up to the border up there, to DMZ. Okay.
Now, you were a pilot, so what was your actual job there when you were in country?
Well, as a pilot, I flew an A4 Skyhawk aircraft. It was a single engine, single pilot. Well, I didn't have anybody else in there with me, but it was an air-to-ground aircraft, which was made to support the troops. Otherwise, when the Marines needed help, then they called us, and we went out. And it was a good aircraft. It was made for air-to-ground work, so we carried all kinds of weapons. And
what was any of the planes that you were ever flown? Did it take direct hits at any time? Is there anything along the way?
No, they shot at me.
Okay.
But fortunately, I didn't get hit.
Okay, all right, that's wonderful. All right, so you were on 3 different tours there, and you finally, when you finished the 3rd one, what year was that you came back then after 3 tours over there?
Well, the last one would have been, let's see, that would have been just about 2 years. With this all happened within about 2 years. Period.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Okay. So what year did you actually get discharged then?
Well, I was discharged in 78.
78, okay. Well, we were talking off camera before we went on camera about the protests that were taking place in the United States during the time, and the sit-ins, and just all of the stuff that was going on. And I get why the young people were protesting. I do get that, but at the same time, the disrespect that was shown during that time for those in the service. Is there any comments that you'd like to make about that, or how were you treated upon your returns?
Well, I was really treated very good because I was still in the military, and so I was at next to or on military bases all the time. So I didn't really see much of the demonstrations. They weren't going on where I was. But when I did see them, especially on television or something, it does bother you.
Yeah. When you came back to the United States, was there any disrespect shown to you as a person individually?
No, it wasn't. As I say, I was pretty much protected by the military.
Yeah, that's actually
being close to it. Yeah,
that's good. And by the time you got out, the war was over, which that part was actually good for you. Okay, so you were stationed over there, and we were talking off camera. I asked if you'd seen Bob Hope or Nancy Sinatra. Tell us about. You said you saw Bob Hope one time.
Well, I did, but this was when I was in Japan, and this didn't have anything to do with Vietnam. But he put on a show there, and that was one of the greatest things. The troops loved him.
Yeah, you know, it's amazing when we look back years ago during Vietnam and things like that, how the great entertainers of the day would actually give their time and go on those tours. They were on tours too. Entertaining the troops, and it was just amazing, and that's not happening now, whether it be Afghanistan or whatever, to that magnitude. There is some occasionally where you're hearing of entertainer going over there, but the big notoriety and the big continued tours of stars just isn't happening today.
No, it's too bad.
It is.
Because Bob Hope was just he was very entertaining, and he was really giving up a lot of his. Every Christmas he went over during World War II.
I know.
And he was giving up his time. I thought a lot of him.
I know. Okay, so you get out and you come back on a permanent basis. What did you do for a career? What was your career?
Well, I spent actually a little over 20 years, maybe 22 years in the Marine Corps.
Okay.
And my main job, as I said, was flying. And then you'd have other secondary jobs. That just depending where you were. I had a squadron for a while, and I had my support squadron, which we had the capability of building short field takeoff and landing for the jets and so forth.
Okay, all right.
I wonder. This is a little off the subject, but I just thought of it that my daughter was like probably 3 or 4 years old one time when I went over in one of those short tours. And so first of all, I went in because she was very upset the first time that I went, and it took her a while to settle down. So that second time I had to go over within the next day. And so I first of all, I got 11 shots, 5 in one arm, 5 in the other, and 1 in the rear. And then I had to go in. She was in school that morning already, and I went over and pull her out of class because I know she got so upset, and this time she was going to come home, and I just wasn't there. So I went. They got her out of class, and I started talking to her, and she's, Dad, she said, I've got to get back in. The teacher's going to read us a story. I said, but Terry, I said, well, this is I'm not going to be back here for a while. And she said, Dad, I've got to get back in your room. So that's the way it ended. And then as we were leaving, she said, Dad, have a nice war.
A little bit different from the first time you went over. Yeah. It is funny how kids change from different ages, or obviously the third time. Now when you retired and you came back over here, what kind of work did you do then? As far as continued work?
When I retired out of the Marine Corps, I was in California at the time, and then we came over here and I settled in Mount Dora. I've been here 40 years now.
All right, wonderful.
And I went to the tech center there and got a job which I really enjoyed. I was doing job placement and admissions and things like that.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Why did you pick Mount Dora? I'm just curious because you're not from this area.
Well, it is a good question. Well, I have relatives both in Florida at the time and up in Ohio, and up all in the east. So we decided we ought to settle.
Just settle over this way. Got it. Okay, in closing, Bud, what would you like to share with us as far as just, your time in the service, Vietnam, just whatever you'd like to close with as far as the people listening today?
Well, last year I had the opportunity to go on a Patriot cruise here, and that's to me it was a tribute to the military, and that was one of the nicer things that has ever happened. And of course, something like this is too, to have your interest. And I know you have a big breakfast coming up.
Right.
Yeah. So, and that's the kind of things that I think are really wonderful that they're doing for the military.
It is. The Patriot Cruise is a great annual event that is always just before Veterans Day, to where the veterans cruise in by boat into Grantham Point, and there's a big celebration in Gilbert Park to honor them for a picnic and everything. It's an awesome experience, and having been there and observed, it's just awesome. So I'm glad we were able to honor you, Bud, for your service at that event.
Well, thank you. Very nice.
You're welcome. And thank you, Roseanne Abato, for organizing that event and getting us going in Mount Dora. We appreciate you, Roseanne. I'm Rob English, President of Mount Dora Area Chamber of Commerce, and again, thank you for visiting with us today and celebrating another veteran, Bud Guenther.